So a question that a lot of people have, right, is do we even need Daggerheart? Is Daggerheart just Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition 2024? That's 6th edition, by the way. Is it just the next iteration of the thing that we've had time and time again? And I am going to say, no, I'm going to say it's not. Is it similar? Sure. And again, the way that all tabletop role-playing games are going to be similar. But I think, to me, Daggerheart feels like the modern response to a thing that has been played for 50 years. It feels like the natural evolution of tabletop. One of the biggest reasons why, and I'm gonna pull straight from the back of the book itself. Again, beautiful shiny Daggerheart that we have here. Happy May 20th, everybody. Daggerheart is a heroic fantasy tabletop role-playing game designed for narrative-driven play, keying in on that narrative, right? Punctuated by fast-paced and dynamic combat, the system's collaborative tools encourage everyone at the table to be a storyteller. That's what I want to talk about a little bit more, is that everyone is going to participate in the telling of the story. This is not the game that people were playing 50 years ago, where the GM in a mysterious robe was keeping all of the secrets, and you had to roll into a room, and just like in BG3, Baldur's Gate 3, everybody rolls perception as they come in, and you realize nobody saw it. So that is forever lost to you. This is meant to be a game where everyone is participating, collaborating, saying the things that they're seeing, that they're finding, that they want to drive the story forward. So that is where a lot of us know tabletop is going. At the table, one of the first questions that I ask my players is, hey, you're going through a forest. Tell me about that forest.
And then I guess I would try and put myself in that headspace. What would I want to see in this interesting fantasy world? Maybe the trees seem to be making sound. Their leaves rustling sounds like whispering of people that I haven't seen in quite some time.
Incredible. And already, if there are 6 people at the table, that choice matters. Because I, the GM, I might have just been in a Tolkien-esque fantasy forest. Maybe it's just the wilderness. But you've told me now that maybe there's something I could pull from there. Maybe it's supernatural. Maybe I even changed the music from do-do-do-do-do-do-do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love that aspect of it, and I really think it invites the GM to be a player as well. We focus a lot on collaboration being that the players are getting to have some kind of onus, a responsibility of the narrative. But I think it's equally important that I, as the GM, in this kind of a setting and this kind of a system, I'm getting to play. A thing that I don't get to do a lot as a GM in a lot of systems, because I'm just the authority. I like to play. It's a fun time.
And just to zoom out and look at a global perspective on the philosophy of the game. I think something we need more of is collaboration in the world. And maybe something we need more of is a little decentralization of authority.
Ooh,
It might actually be nice for everyone involved, not just the players, to have more of a control or buy-in, because then the GM, maybe some of that weight is taken off your shoulders. You could, instead of going, guys, I didn't have time to prep, we're just going to have to do a battle royal. Instead, you just go, is there anything in like the region we're in that you guys are interested in? And then they go, yeah, I want to do this thing from the map. We don't know what this is. What does this mean? And then I go on. What does it mean? And they're like, what? You get to say to them, I want us to play something with this kind of a vibe today. And your backstory is what we're going to move into. So tell me, what do you think is in this area?
I think that brings up just such a good point. That you guys know that I am a nerd about the philosophy behind the things that I'm most interested in. And that's true of tabletop role-playing games too. And I have heard a lot of, I'm the person when you're like at the convention, who's the person in the audience listening to those table reads and stuff? It's me. I'm the person that wants to hear the latest philosophy of tabletop. One of those elements is that really, if we're looking at what we're trying to get back to, it's being 7 years old on the playground. It's having a game that you're all playing with as light touch rules as you can, because we're all just trying to have fun. There weren't really rules at the time. You got to say what your superpower was. It wasn't class restricted of you can hit something hard with a sword or you can cast. No, you got to decide. I have glittery eyes that hypnotize someone, you know?
I always used to go Blue Hulk.
Oh, incredible.
I was 5. I was like, Blue Hulk.
Yeah.
Way better.
And that's not to say that anybody's tabletop is worse than others, okay? So if you want to play that rules heavy, crunchy system, go play that. But we are seeing that we're moving further away from rules and going to, as Daggerheart will describe it, rulings over rules.
Yeah.
You know?
There was a great term that you used that I thought was really interesting about convergent evolution.
Oh, yeah, that's an Ivan Van Norman special. Ivan Van Norman, we all know here, but I'll say it for the audience in case you don't know, is kind of the guy over at Darrington Press. He's the head at Darrington Press, and he's been in the community for a long time. He was originally on Geek and Sundry when Felicia Day had started it and worked in the background of a lot of Critical Role stuff, and now he heads Darrington Press. And he also is a big philosophy of tabletop guy. And he said that as we are evolving in this community, we're taking things from all these different systems that we like and incorporating them into our gameplay. And we're abandoning the stuff that we don't like, right? There's a whole part in, I believe, I haven't looked into the book specifically, but it was in the manuscript. I assume that it's going to be here in the actual game as well, that talks about the influence of other games.
It is, yeah. That's all throughout the book, whether it's in the campaign frames or the various rules. They talk about the TTRPGs that have inspired them and the media that inspires them.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of that. And just to zero in on the point, convergent evolution, meaning from all sides evolving towards the same ideas.
Absolutely.
And I think that's because people like to play games.
People do.
And there's room for every kind of game. But it's nice when you have something like Daggerheart that goes, these are the rules, but we want rulings more than we want everyone to have a fastidious, hour of reading the books before every game to make sure that everything is perfect.
I've said it before and I will say it again. I've been watching Critical Role since campaign 1. I started about 30 episodes in watching live. And one of the things I liked very early on was that Matthew Mercer said, hey guys, we're going to play a loosey-goosey game. He called it loosey-goosey. And then, rule lawyers arguing in the comments for a decade. Happy 10th, Critical Role. But that loosey-goosey aspect, sometimes just because the rules say this is what's supposed to happen at your table doesn't mean it's going to be the thing that's fun to play.
Yeah.
You need to be able to advocate for yourself and advocate for your table and play the game you want to play. Rulings over rules.
Yeah, and I don't want to just preach to the choir here. What I would love is for the people out there who just got referred to this video because they were watching a Matt Colville video about a mini game system for escaping a collapsing mine.
Yeah.
I want somebody who thinks that they're the #1 war gamer. I want a Warhammer 40k person who's never played a tabletop role-playing game before to try Daggerheart, because I want to hear from you and your experiences in the comments and in my DMs. I want to find out what you think about Daggerheart. So give it a try. I'm DM Chaotic Goof. You could find me on any social media you want.
I'm
lovely Rachel
from the Faint Divinities over on YouTube and Twitch, the first channel on YouTube dedicated exclusively and specifically to Daggerheart content.
So like, subscribe, follow us here at RPGB TV, and let us know what you think about Daggerheart.